Hey, what is up guys? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another PSVR2 video. Now today's video I'm basically going to be talking about the blur and how to fix it as best as you really can. Now I'm going to use Gran Turismo 7 as a bit of a reference because I feel like this is the one that's getting the most I guess stick for blurring. Now obviously the gameplay footage in the background is from PSVR2, but you will notice there's kind of blurrings on the side and stuff. That's just the way it looks when it's kind of brought over onto the screen. It doesn't really do it any justice, and that's mostly due to eye tracking and how it actually works. So let's talk about how to really reduce that blur when you're actually using your PSVR2 headset. So like I said, obviously Gran Turismo 7 is going to be my reference. It's the main game I play using VR. It's the one I've really kind of got used to, and again, like I said, it's had a lot of stick for, you know, being blurry and such. But I'm going to kind of give you some tips and pointers that I've been using whilst playing around with the headset, which should be realistically universal for most games, if not all of them. And it requires you to essentially play around with not only in-game settings, but also then to essentially change a little setting on your PSVR2 headset, and it should really improve your image quality. I know for me, straight away as soon as I did this, I had a massive kind of bump up in how the sort of quality through the headset looked, and I was very much impressed. So let's get into it. So the first thing you want to do, and this is kind of obvious, is essentially get the headset up properly for your preferences. So make sure that eye tracking's all done properly, ensure that you've kind of got your focus set properly, your space is set correctly for the specific game you're playing. Obviously if it's a standing one, make sure that you've got your, you know, your space ready. If it's a sitting one, ensure you've also got that up, you know, set up properly. You may have to change this from game to game. I know I have been, so I've been playing games sat down, I've been playing games stood up. So just ensure that you've got that set up properly each time. Usually, as a rule of thumb, I usually go into the settings each time I put the headset on just to make sure it's still kind of in focus, still doing the tracking properly. This way I know I'm kind of assured that on the main side of the setup thing, that I've kind of got everything set up to how it realistically should be for me. Now this is going to be kind of personal because of how you know your eyes may be and such. So yeah, just ensure that you go through that first and foremost, get it set up properly to your personal preferences, and that is going to be the first step done. Now after that, I've been playing around with a bunch of settings actually within games, and I've mainly done this with GT7 because this is the main game that I play. When it comes to PSVR2, it's a fantastic experience. However, it does suffer from a bit of the blur, but you need to go into this with an open mindset. It is never going to look as good as it does on, let's say, a flat screen monitor and such. It's never ever going to look that perfect. You know, it's not made to be that. There's a lot of kind of processing, kind of saving power and all that kind of happens when you're kind of looking away from a certain object. That's why you get the blur around the edges and such. It's just the way the headset works. So what I found to do is essentially jump into your in-game settings, which I will show you now. So to do this in terms of Gran Turismo 7, obviously this is the example I'm using. I'm going to go up to my options and go into the in-game display settings. Just ensure you do this for the game that you are playing at the time. What I found to do is put the exposure all the way to the top and ensure that the saturation is all the way to the top. So essentially what you want to do within all of your games is ensure that your image quality is turned up to the max, and then boost the majority of your kind of image settings to the brightest you can get them. After that, what you essentially want to do is go into your quick settings within your PSVR, and there'll be a little slider for your brightness. I found turning it down to around about 3/4 to half actually made the blur a lot less, and this is pretty much across the board. Another game that I did try it with is a game called Pavlov. I went into the settings, messed around with them, and then kind of turned my headset down. It was around about the 3/4 mark with that one. Within Gran Turismo 7 it was around about half. So once you've kind of, you know, turned it down away from the max brightness, you should really get a much crisper and cleaner image. Like I said though, so what you really need to do is go into it with a different mindset. If you go into it thinking it's going to look exactly like it does on screen, then I'm sorry, but you kind of need to lower your expectations. It is never going to look that good, mainly for the way that it produces the image in VR. You will still get like blur in the distance, however, but up close and stuff, it should be much crisper, much cleaner, and it should massively reduce that blur. So another little bonus tip I'm going to give you, apart from obviously getting the headset correctly set up for yourself, as well as kind of what I've done within my games, mainly Gran Turismo 7, in terms of, you know, reducing that blur up close, is definitely keep your lens clean, keep your headset well maintained. The best thing to do is a little microfiber cloth. I believe you kind of get them for like phone screens and stuff. It does say to basically use a dry cloth. Don't use anything wet. This can cause smudging, and realistically you don't really want to damage your brand new PSVR2 headset, obviously. So just ensure that you've got that properly cleaned. Usually, as a rule of thumb, every kind of 2 or 3 sessions that I've had the VR on, I will just go ahead and give the lens a quick wipe, and this just ensures that it keeps it, you know, as the most kind of crystal clear image, and there'll be no kind of smudging and such then as well. So just ensure that you use a dry microfiber cloth. Usually one of the ones that you get with the phone screens will kind of do quite well. That's kind of what I've been using. I've had it for ages, or it always, you know, clears up my phone screens and stuff, and it does the same for the lenses. So just ensure that you are maintaining it properly, clean it as regularly as you can. Don't obviously overdo it and do it every time. There's really no need for that, but especially if you've come off the back of maybe 2 or 3 hours of playing just VR and such, then maybe, you know, give it a quick just wipe. You know, it's just basic things like this that will kind of help maintain your lens cleanliness. In terms of getting it set up properly, that is a definite thing. A lot of people are really not setting these headsets up properly, and I think they're running into issues there. And definitely, like I recommended, and more importantly recommend that you just play around with the settings. It could be personal to me, but for my eyes and such, that definitely works in reducing that blurriness. Like I said, it's really hard to portray it on the screen because it's, you know, kind of shown differently to what it actually looks like when you're in the PSVR headset. As PSVR2 users will know, it's a completely different experience. So just play around with your brightness settings in the game, boost the actual in-game ones up, and then kind of reduce your actual PSVR2 headset brightness, and this should definitely help reduce that blurring. So let me know if this helps you out. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. If you want any more pointers or tips around PSVR2, then just let me know down below. I will try my best to help you out. Obviously, I mainly play Gran Turismo 7, so VR is a big thing in that game currently, so it's going to be a lot of kind of coverage on that, and I can just kind of give you some pointers that I've found along the way. That's going to be it for today's video. Massive thank you to my sponsors, the Controller people and Poggers, for supporting the channel. Massive thank you to my channel members. Down in the description I have my Twitter, my Discord link if you want to join like-minded gamers, and that is going to be it for today's video. Take care guys, peace.